Be excellent to each other and party on. We're back for another Legacy League, and today we're playing my favorite deck, Kaito Bane of Nightmares Control. And this is a blue-black deck that has lots of interaction in the form of 2 Nile Spellbombs main deck, 4 Forces, 2 Dazes, 4 Thoughtseize. I've been very impressed with this card in a combo-heavy meta. And we have lots of ways of enabling Kaito coming into play, such as 4 main deck Tamiyo. She's evasive. She costs 1 blue mana, very efficient. Nethergoyf only costs 1 black mana, can swing in and be ninjutsu'd back to hand for a Kaito. Of course, we've got the Orcish Bowmasters, which produce 2 bodies, which increase the likelihood of us being able to Kaito. And we have the 2 Brazen Borrowers. And we have Mockingbird, which is just a pet card of mine. I think this card is so cool because it can help us get Bowmaster superiority when we don't have a Bowmasters and our opponents do. And it can also give us a flying Nethergoyf if we need to, or just copy whatever the best thing our opponent has on their board. We have a sideboard of 3 Consign to Memory and 2 Harbinger. I've gone down from 4 Consign to Memory. I just haven't been encountering as much Eldrazi, and really Eldrazi is where you need Consign. We've got the 3 Hydroblasts. We've got the 3 Force Negations. I've gone up to 3 because I keep encountering turn 0 combo decks like Oops All Spells, and I think Force Negation is the best thing we can be doing there. 2 additional Graveyard Hate cards in Nile Spellbomb, and 2 Engineered Explosives in case we're expecting Chalice. I've got a full sideboard guide for this in the video description, and we're going to play a full league. See you in round 1. Round 1, we're up against a likely combo player. They've been playing like Echoes and things like that. Mystic Forge combo, a lot of stuff that gets Force Negationed. So I feel like we're favored here, considering our deck is basically built, hand assembled to be able to take down combo decks. This hand does not have a turn 1 Force of Will. I like the Nile Spellbomb, but I don't think we keep our opponent is already mulliganed as well. It's not getting better. This is basically the same hand. I think it'd be remiss of me to not mulligan here. They could just have a slow opening. This is by far the best hand. We're keeping this. Fatal Push to the bottom. Nethergoyf to the bottom. I'd much rather have Tamiyo as a second, like a third blue card in case they Thoughtseize us or something like that. Planar Nexus. Okay, so they are probably on a land strategy, which unfortunately is completely different from what we were expecting. I think at this point, with that knowledge that they're likely on a land strategy, we want to just get on board. Nethergoyf can't really attack and do much damage here, but it probably is the best thing we've got going on. I think better than Tamiyo, because if they're on a land strategy, I'm trying to think. Yeah, I don't see Planar Nexus in any of their previous decks that they played. Coveted Jewel, Mystic Forge combo. They could be on Mystic Forge combo. No, I don't see Planar Nexus in those. I'm going to assume that they're on like some 12 post type deck or lands. And I think we do want to open Nethergoyf so we can start attacking. Tamiyo may be best served as just a card that can pitch to force. And I think there's a high likelihood that we force something here, so we'll probably be attacking for 1 next turn. If we draw a land, yeah, there we go. Karnforge style. Emery is fine. I can just nuke the graveyard. Okay, Urza's Saga in there. Mishra's Bauble is the only thing that they can return currently. Best draw in the deck is a land, especially a fetch land. Come on, fetch land. All right, that's not the worst. I don't think it's worth hitting their graveyard just to Nile Spellbomb here. I'm sorry, just to get rid of that bauble. I think what I'll do is I will just float this out there and we pass. We mulligan really hard with them being on a combo deck, and they are on a combo deck. It's just not the kind of combo deck we expected. Yes, they are going to be able to bauble here. I'm not going to... Let's see. I mean, them drawing a card is basically like us drawing a card. I think it's fine. So preventing them from drawing a card is basically like us drawing a card is what I meant to say. Okay, Urza Saga. 4 mana in the pool, 1 ring. No thank you. I think at this point we pitch Tamiyo because I think we're likely to need to force other stuff later. They've still got 3 cards in hand. All right, we did find the fetch. This is good. So what we can do, they can replay this next turn. We can just wait for them to do that. I'm going to go ahead and fetch now. I don't think our lands are likely to get accosted, so I'll just do this. And then what we can do is if they attempt to use Emery to return this, we can nuke their graveyard, and then we can also potentially draw into a blue card for force. We're going to need to be quick. They may just not do anything here because they've got Urza Saga. We will have to nuke their graveyard before they can go get a Pithing Needle. But I would be very happy if they use their Emery here. Oh no. For those watching at home, that's 3. We're going to go ahead and do this. Okay, Fatal Push does answer Emery next turn, or a Construct more likely. Okay, they're just creating the Construct now. Another Emery. I can't interact with this, unfortunately. We'll just see what they put in the yard here. Paradox Engine could be a problem. Grim Monolith with Key gives them tons of mana. All right. So we now have a blue card for force. I feel like we do need to kill Emery, and the only way we're going to be able to do that is if we somehow turn on Revolt. So our options are... I think we have to hold force here. We don't really have any good options, do we? I think them getting Key and being able to replay Monolith gives them so much mana, it's not even funny. Paradox Engine gives them a crazy endgame. So options. I can swing in for 3. I can guarantee I connect for 3 if I Fatal Push here. Otherwise, likely they're just going to chump. Since they're going to build more, I might be able to get them with a Fatal Push. I think I'm just going to attack, and if they want to chump, that's fine. I don't think they chump here. So if they get like the, Lava Spur Boots or something like that, then we can interact with a Fatal Push. So there's the first... Yeah, them hitting all 3 Urza Sagas, or 3 of their 4 probably. They did get the Key, so I presume they're going to bring back Monolith here. There's nothing I can do to stop that. Wow, the fourth freaking Saga. Don't think we're winning this one, folks. There's the Monolith. There's not really any point in countering this. They have another one in their graveyard. So they just have arbitrarily large volumes of mana for the rest of the game here. I think we have to... If we force this, they can just do it again next turn. The real question, this doesn't affect anything as long as they don't have a way to get up on cards. I think we just have to let it happen. Okay. They can grant unblockability. Do they have another card that they can cast? Okay, they're just going to come in. I don't really want to take this. This is just a clean opportunity to use my mana. So we're going to stop One Ring or something like that, hopefully. Thoughtseize is not good. It does give us a type in the yard. They're going to be able to create another construct here. Yeah, I'm going to Thoughtseize them. Okay, Seed of Sidon. All right, so now we can attack. This is pretty bad. They're going to be able to crack back for a lot next turn. I'm not sure that attacking is correct here. I don't think we're winning either way. I definitely don't think we're winning a longer game though. So I think the onus is on us to kill them. If they get this. Soul Guide Lantern, yeah, we can concede because they can just eat our graveyard. All right, so Urza Saga, just a problem for control decks in general. We have the 4 Wastelands for them, but we have to actually draw them. Okay, so this comes in. I think Engineered Explosives definitely comes in here. I think Consign comes in here. I don't think Spellbomb is particularly good. It may have seemed to be good there, but Harbinger is probably worth bringing in considering they've got so many Urza Sagas and they're using like, cheaty mana, like Planar Nexus with Urza's Tower. So I think Daze comes out even on the play. Bowmaster stays in. Thoughtseize is quite good. So if we cut these, I don't think they're going to do anything to our mana. The basic island. And then we still have the swamp that we can get for the purpose of Harbinger. I'm not necessarily sure that Harbinger is where we want to be. Fatal Push feels pretty bad but I think it's justifiable if they're playing Emery. Mockingbird's not great here. I like to cut Mockingbird if I don't think they're playing Bowmasters. Or if I don't think that they're going to be interacting with our creatures a lot. I think the main way they're going to be interacting with our creatures is putting giant constructs out there and forcing us to block their creatures. Could trim a couple pushes. I mean, the fact that they have main deck, maybe we do trim a Nethergoyf as well. The fact that they have main deck Graveyard Disruption. Maybe we cut both Nethergoyfs. Two Nethergoyfs. We still have 2. We still have 14 creatures that we can use to ninjutsu in Kaito. I do think Kaito is worthwhile here. because we are going to be going down on cards, countering their stuff, and we need Kaito and Tamio to get us back up on cards. This is a pretty strong keep, in my opinion. If we've got Harbinger we can work toward. I'm just going to open Underground Sea Ponder. We're going to hope to find Thoughtseize. Brazen Borrower is like pretty good removal for constructs. And it pitches to force 2. So at this point, probably Borrower would be my pitch to force. And then we'll use these cantrips to try to find the lands we need to get Harbinger on the table. If they have a lot of artifact mana, Harbinger might not matter that much. All right, here we go. Let's see what we get off this Ponder. All right. I think Thoughtseize is good. Really, we're looking for land, and I don't want to sit around and wait. Let's any order shuffle this. Okay, rewarded. Wasteland is a good land. Wasteland will help us cast Harbinger, or it'll deal with the Nurza Saga. Okay, Force is a good rip. My instinct is to wait on the Brainstorm and just do nothing for this turn, or maybe bounce something with Borrower if we get an opportunity to do so. Planar Nexus, 4 mana. They don't have anything on... I'm tempted to instep borrow this just to buy some tempo. But then if we find an island on top, at the same time, we are going to have to deal with it at some point. So maybe this is just a forced negation, and then, gosh, if we do find a land on top of deck with this Brainstorm, it's going to be huge. I think it's worth it to cut them off mana. I'm going to attempt it. See if we're punished. We are punished. Okay, so I'm going to put back the Nethergoyf. We'll draw that, and we'll just redraw this Ponder, I guess. And then I think I was just going to Thoughtseize them. Yeah, so we're Brainstorm locked currently. The other thing we could do, we could Ponder, try to find a land, and then Thoughtseize them. I think that's a better line. All right, rewarded. So this cuts us off black if we cast Harbinger for the rest of the game. I think it's okay. So I'm going to go ahead and Thoughtseize here. And we could draw a fetch off top. We're drawing wild. I don't really care about Opal. So we just take the Paradox Engine. They've got nothing going on. We hope they don't draw anything that warrants a force. We Harbinger. We slow them down a bit. They don't... Yeah, when we Harbinger next turn, it just nukes this. I think it's fine. That was their draw for turn. And please fetch land. Okay, we didn't get the fetch. We're just gonna do this. I don't think there's a way they can remove the Harbinger other than like K command or something. Yeah, let's just do that. And I'm not gonna use the Wasteland. I'll just hold the mana because we might be able to hardcast Force. 3 mana. It's fine. Again, we're just trying to keep them from having a high quantity of mana and also keep them from being able to use their stuff. Okay, so I'm just gonna swing in with this. And then in step, I will flash in a Borrower. Assuming they can K command off this. They've got 3 colorless mana. They've got tons of mana now. I think that's okay. Took the Paradox Engine, so their hand is currently Mox Opal, Ancient Tomb. All right, so we're going to go ahead and play this out and up our clock. Blue card. All right. So we just have to counter like a 1-ring or something like that, and then we can win. It's possible they could get to like Emrakul mana. Let's see. There's a lot of potential mana there. There's a force. It's unfortunate that we didn't draw it later. Yeah, because they can Manifold Key, so they can still win if they draw another force. We can't cast this. We'll just come in for a hug. And we'll pass, and we'll just hope. Hand is Mox Opal. Another 1-ring, and the game is blown open. Okay, that's fine. Now, like, they could seriously cast like an Emrakul or something here. All right, we're just going to come in for one more hug, and we just have to fade one more draw step. I do think it was misplay the way I shuffled away the Underground Sea. I should have played the Underground Sea to Thoughtseize and then had the fetch up. Unpunished, but definitely having access to black would have been nice there. All right, and vindicated that Harbinger is a good card, but like really what happened was they just drew bricks. I think I'm going to run it back the exact same way. This is a snap keep. I do think we probably want to lead on Thoughtseize just to mitigate. Yeah, I think we forced negation this because we don't want Emery bringing it back. And that also leaves us with an extra life. Okay, so let's go ahead and just Thoughtseize them. Hopefully their hand is like a bunch of mana and not a lot of action. All right, that is the case. We'll take the Mystic Forge, and yeah, they've got a lot of mana. But that Mystic Forge was their action spell. Seat. They're probably going to play the Monolith here. Okay. Mox. Their hand is Ancient Tomb. Another blue card for Force would be spectacular here. All right. I don't think we cast it. I'm just going to play out the Nethergoyf and leave this up just in case we need to like Fatal Push. What's her name? Emery. There she is. Perfect. 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 Okay. So she's going to get her ability and reveals nothing of consequence, but there is that Mystic Forge in the graveyard, and we are going to go ahead and just end step push it. All right. Now we got a 3/4 coming in. We just have to chip away for a few turns. This is a Surveil land. I'm going to play it out. I don't have the luxury of pondering here, I don't think. I think it's too risky. Fleshraker. Let's see what we draw. This is probably their only action spell. This probably is a worthy force. I just want to make sure before I do that we don't have like another Fatal Push. We only have like 2 Fatal Pushes in our deck. I mean, technically that answers it over the course of 2 turns. Doesn't blow up anything else. We put this in our graveyard and we just force this, because this will produce like infinite blockers for Nethergoyf. I think we hold this in case we find a Brainstorm, also just to like not let them know that we have nothing. If they draw gas, we're done. That is gas. We don't have a lot of time to find a wasteland here. Bowmaster's not good enough, I don't think, but we'll just come in for a hug here. I mean, it's possible that they get low enough just from Bowmaster from swings. I am going to go ahead and Bowmaster them. I don't think it's worth waiting. I want to be efficient with my mana here. They're dropping a 4. So let's think about this. It would be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Man, those artifact lands. Yeah, we need a wasteland. Consign stops the search trigger. All right, this is the hard part. This is the thinking part. So currently, these would be 5/5, and then they would be a 6/6 after the so we can stop the search trigger. Wow, we can't really attack. It sucks. Like we attack, they take 2. They just block our Nethergoyf. If we can bring Nethergoyf back, it's tiny. I think that's worth doing. Then we still have a blue mana to consign the search trigger. I think it's a force block on Nethergoyf here. So are we going to have enough types in our graveyard? I think it's dead. Take 2. All right, now I'm going to fetch the swamp just in case I draw later. Okay, so cards that are going to be exiled: land, instant, sorcery, artifact. It's small, but it is enough that we might be able to win. Okay, I am going to consign this trigger. And I'm going to hope that the last card that they drew is not spectacular. They can't tap their Ancient Tombs. There's Emery, that's pretty spectacular. That gives them access to Mystic Forge, which they're pretty low in life, but that's still not nothing. Okay, they got a Soul Guide Lantern in their yard now. They can't attack. All right, what can we draw here? I think we just have to stand still. Yeah, I think we're probably going to lose this, unfortunately. It was very tight. We don't have good attacks. I don't want to play this out and let them know we have nothing. But I think what they're probably going to do is get Soul Guide Lantern, shrink our Goyf further. They can't tap those Ancient Tombs, which is good. But they can, like, they could One Ring and then tap them. They don't have One Ring in their yard, though. I'm trying to think of what we could draw other than, like, Runner, Orcish Bowmasters. They're getting back a Monolith. Okay, so that does increase the size. Gives them some mana. Now we just need to draw 1 Bowmasters and we can win. Force Negation doesn't do it. So if we attack in, we do 1 damage to them, and then they just kill us on the crackback. So we can't attack here. We just have to hold this Force Negation and wait another turn. I'll hold it just in case I find a Brainstorm. Slipping away. Yeah, Soul Guide puts victory out of reach, but I will negate Soul Guide if that's their spell for turn. This has to be countered. Okay, I'll counter the actual spell. They can't attack in. All right, next turn they go for our graveyard and we're dead. I'm just going to chill. Okay, they're drawing bricks, but it shouldn't matter. This is the One Ring. Oh, They're getting back Mystic Forge. Okay. We can't do anything about that, unfortunately. Still not attacking. Let's bounce one of these out of play. Exiling the top card, paying a life. Okay. Karn is in exile. What was their top card? We did it! Brazen Borrower! Ladies and gentlemen, this card is insane. That was a really fun match. Love the deck. I don't mind fighting against this archetype. You won't hear me complain about decks that win over multiple turns. We have plenty of counterplay. See you in round 2. Round 2, we're up against an opponent that plays a lot of different combo decks. His hand seems fine. I'm going to keep it. I think we crack open their hand with the Underground Sea, if we don't already know what they're playing by the time it's our turn. Mockingbird's probably the pitch to force here. Chalice of the Void on 1. I don't think we'd like that. Usually Ancient Tomb and Wasteland are not in the same deck, so I think I can just Thoughtseize here and hold up Daze. Yeah, like Chalice is bad news for our deck. Like, I don't think we can generally play around that. There is the option of just wasting them, but I like Thoughtseize first since we have the Daze. All right. So they can cast any of these things. We can Daze one of them. If we take the Spirit Guide, they can't actually necessarily cast things, and I'm worried that they draw a mana source, like a second Spirit Guide or a Mox or something. We will eventually have to work through these, but we might not have to if we waste them. It's crazy, but I'm going to take the Spirit Guide. And I'm going to hope that this Wasteland does some serious damage to their long-term viability. See, that's what I was talking about. Now we can still Daze. We're going to have to Daze the One Ring. I'm pretty sure that's what they're going to play here. Yeah, and that would not be a possible play had we not taken the Spirit Guide. So rewarded for our Discipline take there. I do want to get on the table, but I don't want them to cast this Pyrogoyf. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to waste, and the next turn I'll Nethergoyf. We'll just hope that we get a couple turns reprieve. Not likely, but possible. All right, no play. Force is great. We're just going to try to beat them down over the course of a few turns with Nethergoyf. I don't think it's worth just using the Nile Spellbomb. Okay, so they do have Pyrogoyf here. So we are, let's see, this is going to be a differently. It's 5/6. I'm going to force it. We need our Nethergoyf as our way to win. So now their hand is completely unknown, but they have their mana under them. Another Wasteland would be fine. Force doesn't really do anything here. Play this out. I don't really want to use it yet. I do want to draw. So we'll do 3 here. We just had to dodge a few bombs. That's unfortunate. We can't do anything about it other than hopefully just beat through it. I'm going to come in for a hug, and I'm just going to go ahead and use the Spellbomb for no benefit, just to buff. So I take 4. Draw a blue card, forces back online. Fable's just unfortunate for us. They'll come in for 2. Eventually, they'll start being able to copy. This doesn't do anything. There's no point in playing it out. Let's say hypothetically they do have to chump. It wouldn't be terrible to have that on the table. If they can ditch some stuff. Yeah, they ditch a Blood Moon and a Spirit Guide. We'll be much better set up post-board. They've got treasure. They've got everything they need. If they have like a One Ring or something here. Pyrogoyf. There's the One Ring. We can't stop it. Maybe they get greedy and they kill themselves through One Ring activations. We have a blocker up. We're just going to chill. Okay, so they get their reflection. Wow, they're getting really greedy here. They have to find another One Ring now, unless they already have one. Another Magus. Would you like to attack? Well, we draw a blue card and we can force their One Ring. That's really all we're doing here. I don't think they can kill us this turn. So they have to have One Ring or they're dead. They're digging for One Ring. This is why you don't concede the game. Sometimes your opponents just do things that are reckless. Like there's no reason they needed to use the One Ring the way they did. I had nothing going on. Did they find it? Broadside. Unfortunately, we're going to die. They can throw the One Ring at us. Okay. Yeah. Good game. Okay. I mean, like they drew a ton of cards, so it's, not difficult to imagine them drawing that. But I think what they did was greedy because they might not have hit it. All right. So Force Negation. This is a good matchup for that. Hydroblast is good here. explosives. Like basically our entire deck is good against their deck. Like our entire sideboard is good against their deck. Daze comes out. Spellbombs come out. I kind of like to take Thoughtseize out here just because like a lot of times they're like hellbent and it's like a terrible top deck and it's a 1-drop. And with that, we could bring in Consign too. I think Consign's fine. It stops One Ring. It potentially stops Fury. Well, what do we take out if we take that out? I mean, Mockingbird is not the best here. It can mock like a broadside or something like that, but like that's aspirational. Almost all their creatures are pretty expensive. Don't really want to cut Kaito because that is kind of our way to win. Nethergoyf is most commonly like the way that I win. Like most games against them that I win go just like that previous game went, except that we don't get Blood Mooned or that we're ready for Blood Moon. They're not going after our mana at all, which makes me want to cut an Underground Sea. I think I'll just bring in 2 Consigns. There we go. I think this is probably the board for this matchup. All right. Hope we don't get punished too much for shaving land. 18 lands. A lot of decks play 18 lands. This is fine. Yeah, this is actually better than mine. This is great. I wish we had a creature to enable Kaito, but Kaito will just be the pitch to force if we need to force something. So what we're going to do is we're going to have blue up first. That is the more important of the colors. And we'll just chill with Consign and Hydroblast. I'd love to Hydroblast some card they go all in on, like and spend a lot of resources on. Chalice, I'll just Consign. Yeah, I mean, maybe Chalice is reason enough for having all 3 of the Consigns in. All right, and I think we probably waste here just to buy time while we wait for our creature to arrive. We're not going to find a better waste target than Ancient Tomb. Let's ponder for a creature. I don't think this is doable. We could take one of these, I guess, and then just never draw another land for the rest of the game. That would be the ideal outcome there. I think I'll do that. That's fine. So we have the option of fetching and pyroing, or we could fetch Surveil and we could just get the swamp with that. I think I let this resolve and then I just push it. Yeah, this lined up, like our hand is lined up very good against what they're doing so far. But they still have 5 cards in hand. Get a Nethergoyf, please. Borrower is not the worst. Yeah, we can just flash that in, Instep, and then Kaito. If we don't have to pyro or hydro anything. 4 mana in this pool. One Ring is going to be forced. Sadly, I do think that the correct thing to do is force with the Hydroblast here, and then Brazen Borrower, and then Kaito. Right, let's go get our Underground Sea. Blue, blue, Borrower. There's Tomio. Where were you, Tomio? They're at 11 life. Should we just go ahead and start borrowing them? I think we do want to get Kaito in play and plus, or zero him so we can get deeper into our deck. Yeah, I'm going to do that. I mean, we still do the damage. This will give us our opponent something that distracts them as well. Like if they do draw a broadside, they're going to have to go after Kaito probably. Let's look for another force. I mean, Wasteland's fine. We didn't play a land yet this turn. Shrink their options a little bit. Okay, they freaking paid 3 life to put that in. Okay, there's broadside. So broadside can't take out Kaito currently. What I can do is I can just stun and attack. They're going for me? Okay, there's the Fury. All right. I knew they had more than just that. All right, well, we could actually still lose here, crazily enough. We lose Fury, then they fling it at us for 6, 7. That's devastating. Devastating sequence. Absolutely devastating. All right. So we Tomio, we Brainstorm, we find a Nethergoyf, profit. Or we could just bounce this back to hand when they attack, but that doesn't really accomplish much. We could Tomio here. When they go to attack, we bounce it, and then they just replay it. And then we get a Tomio clue out of the entire exchange, and then we can just play the Borrower from Exile. I think I like that better than risking it with Tomio. So I'm going to play this out, and then we're just going to set a stop for the King combat step. And then we'll at least get a clue while we time walk them. Oh no! Oh no. Let's see how much they're going to deal. Oh, I think this is death. This is actually death. So here's why this is death. they attack, they deal 2. Even if we bounce one to their hand, then they just play it out after combat and they throw it. So we need to find a force of will specifically here. I think that's all we can find. Yeah, because it'll be able to attack, so it'll trigger. No, wait, they don't have mana to play it out again. Okay, we're going to hold the line. We're going to hold the line. So we'll just throw one of these, and then it can't throw itself. Yeah, and then we'll just do what we plan to do previously. We're still in deep trouble. Blue. All right, let's borrow. Okay, and if they have like a Mox or something, that doesn't necessarily mean we're dead, but it's not good. Okay, so we need to find fetch Fatal Push off this brainstorm. Oh, Bowmasters. Let's go ahead and do this first. We create a clue. Now we brainstorm. I guess we could have brainstormed into exactly Kaito and land, and that would have done it. Nethergoyf, if we had more mana, we could play Nethergoyf and we could. So currently, even if they're not doing any damage to us, like we double block, they can throw one of them at us. And I think we'd still die. We're never going to have 3 mana to use Engineered Explosives to blow up those. So we'll put that back and then we'll draw the Nethergoyf. So we're going to plus here. It doesn't matter actually, because they just throw the extra Brazen Borrower at us. Or they throw the extra broadside at us. We have to force a broadside. So we still have to brainstorm into exactly Force of Will. Unfortunately, Orcish Bowmaster is not going to help us here. Yeah, this game felt really great initially. And broadside's a heck of a card. All right, let's see if we can find that force and that blue card. We have a Nethergoyf on top. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and playing out the Nethergoyf wouldn't have made any difference. We were like super duper dead just because of the throw ability. Like it doesn't matter how much they get debuffed or anything. They just throw it and that's 5 damage. Yeah. All right, let's go to round 3. Round 1, our opponent has, round 3. We're 1-1. Our opponent has played both Usea spells and Painter. They've started by mulliganing. I'm going to keep this. It's not a bad hand versus Painter either. So this is looking like Painter. Aether Vial. Okay, so what red deck plays Aether Vial? Goblins. So do we fight over this? I mean, they kept their mulliganed hand on the strength of this. I think we do fight over it. So I'm going to pitch Ponder because Tomio is really good against Goblins. And I think Thoughtseize is a pretty terrible card, but if we're ever going to cast it, now is probably the time in case they have a second Aether Vial. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that. We're never going to cast this otherwise. Let's just take the Lackey or whatever they have in their hand here. Okay, it is Goblins. Shirk Prospector is the only thing they can currently cast. Everything here can be pushed. I think we take this and we just hope they brick on land. Because like they can use Shirk Prospector as like a delayed Lotus Petal. Kind of. Like they can wait a turn and then they could use that mana. Battlecry Goblin is very scary, but we're going to have to hope that we can manage. Okay, no plays. I love it. I think the play here is to Ponder first and then Tomio. Well, yeah, I want to fetch first. I think we just get a second Underground Sea and we assume they're not playing Blood Moon style creatures. Like, they have to be really focused on Goblins. I don't think they have Magus of the Moon in the deck. And the reason I'm fetching double, like, this is a matchup where they could have Rishadan Port and they can color screw you. And it's really annoying. This is fine. I don't mind the third land. Not when I'm going to have Tomio going to town. So we'll draw another Bowmaster next turn just in case they like, cabal something. I don't know. I can't think of why we wouldn't want it in our hand, but just in case. They are a black deck. This is why you always force Vial, by the way. The past 2 turns have been brought to us by the fact that they didn't have mana. It's just a matter of time before they do find it. There's Lackey. That's fine. So I'll just be Bowmaster pinging that. And I have the nice escape valve of also being able to Fatal Push something if I need to. We're just going to go ahead and do that now. Okay, and they scoop. All right, that felt good. This is a tough matchup. This is not a favorable matchup for us. Let's talk about what comes out. Well, Hydroblast come in. I think Engineered Explosives is okay here. It can hit like lots of tiny creatures. So it's in the maybe pile. Mockingbird is not great. Almost all their creatures rely on like Goblins. I don't think like a Shirk Prospector or something like that. Like I don't think that's generally where we want to be. So we can take Mockingbird out. Again, this is a good card, and I do leave it in when we're up against like creature decks that are not tribal creature decks. I think Daze comes out. It's just not a good card in this matchup. Force is not great either. Thoughtseize is not great. I genuinely don't think Thoughteize is ever good in these kinds of matchups because you're taking so much damage. So I guess Mockingbird probably comes back in. I have seen Goblins players be very greedy and not play any basics, like almost no basics, considering their deck is almost mono red. But I think that's better than the Thoughtseize because we're at least not doing damage. Consign can stop a trigger. It doesn't feel like it's good enough. Harbinger, yeah, I don't think Harbinger is correct. I think we leave one of the Thoughtseizes in, and we'll run. We'll go like that. Again, not a favorable matchup. Like you can tell how little of my sideboard was allocated for these types of matchups when I don't really have a lot of stuff to bring in. Nethergoyf is a great opener. I'm not wild about Double Daze on the draw. With the Brainstorm Tamio combo, which can sometimes just completely stonewall them. I mean, this has lands and spells. It's okay. Do we really want to go down a card? I think I keep this and I just hope that we can convert some mid-game Dazes, but I'm not going to be dazing early on. Okay. Start with nothing. That's good for us. Because we have the Tamio Brainstorm combo and they're probably playing blasts and other effects. Oh. So I think now we just want to get rid of the Undercity Sewer completely. So I'm tempted to just open Underground Sea into Nethergoyf, but that does die to that one creature Explosives Engineer. So I think what we do here, I think we just open Tamio. I don't think they're going to be able to kill her immediately. I might be wrong. We have Daze to protect if they try to do some line that kills her, but it's quite possible we won't be able to protect her. Okay, now we can't stop their spells anymore, so Daze gets really bad, but luckily we've got Brainstorm in hand. Creature can't be countered. All right, it doesn't immediately affect things, but it does offset our Tamio's like debuff so we're going to attack here. Then we're going to Brainstorm, and then we're going to shuffle away a bunch of bad cards that we don't want anymore. Nethergoyf will be a 2/3 after all is said and done because we'll have land in our graveyard and instant. Okay, this is spectacular. So we can push this and only has to deal with one trigger, and they'll have to cast it until the end of next turn. So it's possible that it's not good. I guess the question becomes, okay, would we rather have an Undercity Sewers or a Daze when they already have a Cavern out? I think my instinct is we put back the Dazes, as much as it pains me to do that. She flips. Plus here, we can hold the Fatal Push. It's until the end of your next turn. I think we just push now. I'm well aware that we could just Bowmaster here. That doesn't feel great though. And the reason it doesn't feel great is waiting a turn is because, yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and push here. So again, I'm going to continue with the assumption that they don't have Magus of the Moon in their deck. And if they do, I will be a sad boy. All right, let's see what they flip. They flip a Grease Wrench Goblin. I've never even heard of this card. Exhaust. Put up to 2 cards, then draw that many cards. Put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. Okay, wow. So it's like a 2/1 that also has looting ability and gets stronger. That's pretty good. It's pretty good for a 1-drop. It used to be back in my day when I was a whippersnapper, you paid 1 white mana and you got a 1/1 creature and maybe it had banding. But now you get a 2/1. That's just how Magic is now. All right. Now if I'd held on to Daze, I could probably have Daze something when they double spell. Okay. That's unfortunate. We can't do anything about that. Just going to chill. It is worth noting that they don't have the ability to activate this, so we are going to get a clean Bowmaster on this. So it's good. Do we want to regrow? No, I'm just going to keep plussing here. Getting the Valhalla that way. I'm going to go ahead and play this out. Nethergoyf can go to the yard. We have another one in hand. And we can always bring him back later. I'm just going to go ahead and do this now before they can use the ability. I don't know that we're going to be able to tempo them out, but if Tamio goes to Ultimate Town, we're going to be in a pretty good... Oh, they just scoop. Wow. All right. Goblins is not a good matchup for us. I'd say it's probably like a 30-70 matchup, but I'll take it. I'm happy to win 2-0 on that one. So I'll see you in round 4. This is a fast league. Round 4, we're up against an unknown opponent. We don't keep hands like this, nor this. Opponent has also mulliganed. Maybe they just think we're a crazy degenerate deck as well. We will keep this. We can't go any deeper. Fatal Push goes back. I think one of the Tommyos goes back. Not sure what my pitch to force is. We'll learn a little bit more about what they're doing over there. Well, there's this. So I've heard that sometimes it does make sense to go ahead and just stop this rather than stop the next card. It leaves them with cards in hand, but they could have like a discard spell. I mean, my instinct is to let this go, but if they do have a dark... Yeah, I'm going to let this go. If they discard us, then they'll need another mana to be able to go off. Cabal Ritual. All right. They have a pact, I'm sure. Inform. We can't draw both. Yeah. I'm going to pitch Tomio here. I'll pitch Tomio. They can pact, and then we can go on to the next game. Great. So much fun. Yeah. If you can't tell from my tone of voice, I'm sick of playing against this deck. I think it's BS. Okay. In terms of... Let's just make sure they have everything. There's no downside to them seeing my hand. They've already seen plenty of stuff. Lively Dirge. What is this? Oh, this is one of those terrible spree cards. I can't believe that this would be playable just from looking at it. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, you're going to pay 3 mana just to search your library for a card and put it in your graveyard. Okay, so they have 2 Poxwalkers here. There's the Thoughtseize Oracle in the yard. This is a Dread Return. So, yeah, there's no hope here. I'm just going to... I guess I can withhold the fact that we're playing Wasteland and Ponder and cards that everybody else is playing. Who's actually playing a fair strategy and not just trying to coin flip their way to victory. Okay, so let's go with Force Negations and now Spellbomb for sure. Consign. It's not a good card, but again, we're not playing good cards here. We're playing cards that keep us alive through a turn cycle to get all the fatal pushes. I think we take out the Bowmasters in favor of hitting them with Nethergoyfs. Yeah, I don't think Harbinger is really that great. I mean, she's okay. I'd rather kill people dead. Wait till turn 3 to start hitting with Harbinger that might disrupt my opponent's mana. And what you're looking at is basically the best deck that can ever go up against Oops. Like, it'd be very difficult to create a deck that can more reliably beat Oops than ours. And my record against Oops is maybe like 60% of the time, which is frustrating because like literally like we're playing like everything you need to beat Oops reliably. I'll see if I can beat it. All right, this is a Force Negation hand on the play. It's crazy that we have to think about like, okay, can we get a better hand than that? Like it's Force Negation, but no, I'm going to keep this and I'm just going to Ponder and I'll go ahead and fetch Ponder just to get a land out of my deck. I've got another fetch anyway. We find a second form of interaction. It could be a second, like, force. So Kaito, unfortunately, is going bye-bye. Time does not matter here, but Nethergoyf will be a nice turn 2 play. All right, we should find a blue card. We did. So Consign is another card that we can potentially use. Again, pretty terrible, but it does stop their plan B, which often involves. So we'll take these. This is the card we don't want. And we just have to hope that they have a slow open or that they have an unprotected turn 1 that they go for, which they shouldn't go. They shocked, so they're going for it. Unmask. That takes our only interaction. Do they still have the mana to win? Okay, interesting. They Consign. They must be on that other deck. I don't know why they shocked there. It doesn't make any sense. So we've got Tomio here. My instinct is to go ahead and get the Nethergoyf going. And just hold Tomio. Is that right? That doesn't make any sense. We should play Tomio at 2. Yeah, Tomio can potentially draw. And yeah, they're going to know what's in our hand though. It's okay. We're going to stop whatever there is they're about to try to do, hopefully. And then we'll just be hitting with Kaito every turn for a ton. Okay, they don't bolt, so they're not doing anything here. So we are going to get Kaito going, which is great. We'll bring Tomio back to our hand, so we will have a blue card to pitch the force. Thoughtseize is great. I think Thoughtseize is better than Kaito. The Dark Ritual here, they have nothing. They kept a hand that's not... I don't think that's the correct play. They may still get lucky. Actually, I don't know how they would get lucky enough to They could have like Ritual, the creature that we can't stop with Force Negation. That would do it. Spellbomb seals off the graveyard is a avenue of victory. I kind of think we Kaito here, and then we can just dig for a land to put the Spellbomb into play. This closes the game more. The more time they have to find a squirrel. We just need a land here or another force effect. There's the land. I guess I'd leave that in my deck. It's an above average draw. We'll take this now. Go ahead and get our Nile Spellbomb on the table. All right, good luck. They're dead in 2 turns. They are going for something here. That's going to be countered. Yeah, I don't know what they were expecting. But anyway, let's go to game 3. Armed with the knowledge that they're playing that changes nothing, unfortunately. We figured that could be their juke, and we do have Consign, but they may board out of that and into a more aggressive graveyard strategy. But we also showed them that we had Nile Spellbombs. So who knows what they're going to do? I will not attempt to fathom the mind of somebody who chooses to play Oops. Although I do have a good friend. Some of my best friends are Oops players who is playing Oops just because he is going to a major tournament and he's in the middle of tax season and he's an accountant and he just doesn't want to think. And that is a choice you can make. But it is not a choice I will endorse. All right. Turn 0 interaction or bust. This is a great hand, assuming we get a turn. If we don't, we're probably cooked. Let's keep this. I like the double Thoughtseize. Realistically, probably don't have the luxury of double Thoughtseizing. I'd like to have 2 forms of interaction up turn 2. Double Thoughtseize is pretty insane. If they don't, well, yeah, I'm going to put back a Thoughtseize. I'm going to put back a Tamiyo, sadly. And we're going to hope that they don't just go for it. We'll pitch Ponder here. Oh, they're not going for it? Unmask. You know what? I'm actually going to force negation the unmask. Because I need to resolve this Thoughtseize, and Daze doesn't do anything if they know about it. And now they need specifically Reanimate, which not very many decks are playing right now, to be able to win immediately. Unless they have 2 cards that win immediately. We went so low in resources. The card that they exiled Unmask to Unmask. Okay, so we'll save that other fetch so we can do it. They could draw one of their answers, but yeah, I think we just take the Spy here and leave them with nothing. Hope that they don't draw into the win. They would need to draw another mana as well, but they could draw that creature. Daze is going to expire very quickly here. We have no pressure, nothing to stop them from eventually drawing into the win. Netherglyph is pressure. All right. Do the damage to themselves and take this. Let's go get our Surveil. Hoping to Surveil something to the yard. Not going to Surveil that. I'm going to play that out and just hold it as a potential answer. All right. We've got to connect a lot of times here. I'm going to Brainstorm. Another Nile Spellbomb is fine. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to Spellbomb. Then I'll draw a Spellbomb. This way I get to draw a card, draw through these otherwise bad cards. Get rid of the Balustrade Spy for Reanimate, and now we also have a fresh Spellbomb. So they're not going to be able to bait me to get off of Spellbomb by Reanimating. So we are still very dead to the other plan, if they find it. The Belcher plan. They only have 3 mana. Brainstorm's a known card. We could find Lane Kaito. We wouldn't be able to use both of them. We could find... I don't know what we're going to find, but I'm going to go ahead and use this. Thoughtseize is pretty spectacular. I think we want to go ahead and just Thoughtseize here and save Ponder for next turn. Okay. So we don't want to put the bridge in their yard. That actively helps them. I think we just put Cabal Ritual because that represents the most mana, even though it's only slightly the most mana. And okay, good. All right, we're 3-1, losing only to that Moon Stompy deck that I think Moon Stompy is probably a 50-50 matchup. I think we were doing fine in that. I'll not dwell on it. Let's see how we can do it in the final round. See if we can get the positive. We've got the positive record. Let's see if we can get the 4-1. All right, we're up against the likely mirror. This is exciting. Could be anything, lol. Yeah, usually control mirror type stuff. They have played some Reanimator in the past. This is from a few days ago. Let's take a look at the list. Strix. Man, they're after my own heart. 4 Wastelands, that's worth noting. Kaito. Yeah, that's cool. It's a cool way to end the league. I think we don't put back hands like this in the mirror. I'm going to keep, and I'm going to just hope to play on basics, and I'll just open Swamp, and I'll pitch stuff to force as necessary. No turn 1 play. All right. So we could go ahead and just Thoughtseize here. I think it's okay. They have lots of cards that I do want to get out of their grip, like Baleful Strix, if they have that. Like, I don't want to deal with that card. We're going to sideboard a lot of this kind of self-harm stuff out. Brainstorming is fine. We're still going to get something. It'll be a 1-for-1. We're tapping out of... Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised they're putting the Strix on top. They don't play Nethergoyf. I'm actually kind of tempted to take the Daze here. They've got a lot of freaking lands in their hand. If I give them something to Daze, it's actually fine because look at their hand. They got so much land. Yeah, I'll take the Brainstorm. So now we can't force until at least a turn cycle from now. I'll probably just Thoughtseize them again next turn. See if they want to Daze it. They don't have any pressure though. Okay. Land, please. Daze. Yeah. Then they drew a 3rd Brainstorm. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's fine. All right. And now I will force if they Bowmaster, since I know the Daze is out of their hand. I don't know that specific Daze is out of their hand, but like I'm happy to have them sitting there with an all land grip, dazing stuff. All right, they're surveilling. This is not a known card. This is a unknown card. Okay, Troll. Okay, so they are likely on Reanimator. That's not good news, but I guess it's good news that they're flooded. Yeah, well, that is going to be forced. Mockingbird could potentially be useful for something. I don't think Daze is going to be useful for anything. All right. Now we're looking for land or an Spellbomb. Land it is. I think the pressure going by Nethergoyfing and then also Mockingbirding on top of that. It's probably enough pressure that they won't be able to catch up even if they do reanimate the Troll. All right. We've got 2 Nethergoyfs, one of which is flying. What say ye? You can take a Spellbomb probably, or a Bowmaster. They just did 2 damage to themselves. We're going to be doing a lot of damage to them. Yeah, they took the Force because they don't want to get the Nethergoyfs even bigger, I guess. Drew another Force. Coming for our hug, and we'll just pass with Bowmasters up. And I probably will Bowmaster cantrips at this point. That's no fun. Are you going to freaking win? Are we just going to win now? Souza, you were playing... fun, fair Magic, and you had to pivot off to the broken tier deck that everybody's playing. All right, Atraxa in the yard. We have no counterplay if they have a reanimation effect. But like their hand should still be like 2 or 3 lands. See, we know they have Delta. They did Undercity Sewer. Just reanimate. Oh, so frustrating. My gosh, just ban Entomb already. I guess the announcement's coming in a few days, and we'll find out whether they ban Entomb. Like, we were so far ahead, it's not even funny. And they just have this, like, I win button in their deck that we can't compete. Yeah, and if they had stripped the Orcish Bowmasters, we would have been able to force. And we would have had Daze protection and everything. So, that would make sense. Like, I didn't understand why they were stripping the Force at the time. But this line makes sense. You draw into them, you win the game. So they chose Reanimate, Troll, Wasteland, Daze. And I'm not going to keep track of this stuff because they have Daze. Okay, so that was a bad play. But we got the Daze out of their hand. So now we have to draw land and Brazen Borrower if we want to be able to proceed. Of course, they get this, Vigilance on top of its other abilities. All right, we're deterministically dead. I guess we could chump for a turn, but we're not deterministically dead, but like the odds of us having land and Brazen Borrower and them not having some sort of interaction and them not being able to put it right back into play later. Okay, so now Spellbombs come in. I'm going to try not to get too bent up about it, but I've been playing against that deck for like a year, and it's sad to see people shift to it this late in the game before they ban into him. Hope is inevitable. So we take out Daze here. Let's take a look at our sideboard guide. We're basically pre-boarded for this. We just take out 2 Daze and we put into Spellbomb. That's it. Bob is our uncle. We can't take out lands because they've got Wastelands and Daze in addition to having the most compact combo in Legacy. They have basically all the benefits of our deck and none of the downsides. So, like, frankly, if you're going to go to a tournament, there's no reason you should be playing what I'm playing. You should absolutely be playing what they're playing. What they're playing is better in, like, every single matchup. It is the best deck in the format. There might be a few matchups where it's, like, slightly marginal, like we're marginally favored with a deck like this, but they are not. So this doesn't do anything to their graveyard plan. However, this does address the tempo plan. Brazen Borrower is a band-aid in case they get an early troll. I think I keep this and I just island Ponder to start off. And I like to Ponder before their own Bowmasters can come out. I don't want the Marsh Flats. Bowmaster is not spectacular. I like the ability to brainstorm and fix our hand to the extent that we need to, though. Bowmasters may be good here. It's not a terrible card. They do play cantrips. They play their own Bowmasters, which is the main reason I kept them in. So I don't want that Marsh Flats, but if I don't fetch before I brainstorm, I am going to draw it. However, I'd happily trade this Underground Sea in hand for a Marsh Flats that I can, potentially use to shuffle a future brainstorm. This is our window to do it without worrying about them Bowmastering us. If they Bowmaster us and we Bowmaster back, that's fine. We have Bowmaster supremacy, but they would have like a 4/4 that's beating us down. So I'm tempted to just kind of go ahead and brainstorm now. Okay, Thoughtseize is pretty good. I'm going to put this back, and I'm going to put the Wasteland back. I don't think that that's going to play a part in the game. We're going to attempt to Thoughtseize them. And they may just Entomb and then have double Reanimator or something like that we can't beat. So they do have a reanimation spell. They don't have anything to reanimate currently. They have plenty of removal and interaction. I think the correct answer is always take Reanimate, even if they don't have a target. Because sooner or later they will just draw like a troll or something, and then you've got a huge problem on your hands. What I'm going to plan to do is just keep Bowmastering and wear through all this, I guess. Reanimate is anything they need it to be. It's a Reanimate on my own Bowmaster if they've killed it. It does so much. And for the record, I don't think that Reanimate should be banned. I think it's a great card. I play it in non-Reanimator decks. I think it's Entomb that's the problem card. And I'll be really pissed if Wizards bans, or that they ban Reanimate instead of Entomb, because they're not going to ban both. Entomb has been banned. It was banned for like 10 years. There's a historic precedent for Entomb being too powerful. And I don't know why they decided to bring it back, but it was a mistake. All right, Wasteland's not a great draw. I'd rather have a land out that we can use to surveil. We're going to chill. Okay, so Tarn's out, and now Polluted Delta was the draw for turn. I am kind of tempted to just end step Bowmaster to get something going here. If they Bowmaster me back, I can Bowmaster that back. This is their Brainstorm, which is fine. We didn't know they had this. I don't think I would have waited even if I did know they had it. Like, there are just windows where their Brainstorms are going to slip through, and you just have to accept that. But you can't sit around against them. Like, the game doesn't necessarily get better for you if you're doing nothing. Maybe it does. Maybe it was hasty for me to do this. But I had a window. They're not going to be able to Daze it here. I'd love for them to force it. Doesn't look like they are. They're just going to use one of their removal spells, which is fine. So we're going to surveil. If they Bowmaster here, that's actually great because I can just Bowmaster them back and hit for 2. But I think most likely they use a different removal spell. Clocks are basically tied. Plenty of time for game 3. Undercity Sewer. Tamio is above average draw when we have this much mana. I don't see a reason not to play this out. I mean, I could just pile on another Bowmaster. I think it's worth waiting just to see if we get lucky and snag. It's also possible that maybe if they get annoyed with this, they use one of their removal spells on it. I think most likely they're going to remove our Tamio next. And then instep, I can just drop another Bowmaster. I'm not going to do that then. This is where they're going to kill Tamio. It's fine. Delta, not a great draw. I think we play it out and we just swing. And we have like lots of mana that we can use to cast stuff if we need to. Like casting the front half of a Brazen Borrower to be able to do more damage is an option that's open to us now. It's not necessarily a good option. I don't want to crack this fetch if I can wait, because I don't want to play any more lands for the rest of the game if I can avoid it. So if we play the Borrower out, we lose the ability to bounce a troll, but they're not representing troll. And we do get a lot more damage. And then we just hold the Bowmasters themselves for other things later. This is a spicy target for a Bowmaster if they want to Bowmaster this. And this may be a mistake to play this out. I'll fully acknowledge that it might be a mistake. Please give me a now Spellbomb. Let's go ahead and swing in with both of these and see what they do. We're just sitting here like sitting ducks, waiting for them to combo us. Theft on the token, that's fine. So we're taking 3, and then I'll just drop a Goyf. Goyf's pretty big. They're on like a 3-turn clock currently, which can be a 2-turn clock if we Bowmaster. I am going to Bowmaster here. They've shown me some of their removal. I need them to show me the rest of their removal. Okay, they're Fatal Pushing here. You know what? They got 4 cards in hand. Screw it. I'm going to go ahead and play another one. This could be the death of me. They could Daze or Force or something, but like, how are we winning if we're not pressuring the heck out? We know they have Force in hand. They do have a Daze too. Okay, well that's unfortunate. All right, so their Daze resolves. They don't actually have a lot of lands at their disposal. We might be able to waste and get a little bit of tempo that way. They are on basically a 2-turn clock, even if they remove one of our creatures. But none of that's going to matter if they can Entomb, Reanimate. We're getting them low enough that Reanimate itself may be difficult to cast. But they will be able to successfully, like if they can Entomb, they don't have the mana for it right now. But if they were able to like Entomb an Atraxa, they would have the lifelink, so they'd be able to come back. Okay, this is getting a non-basic, so we can waste that. Another Brazen Borrower. Okay, let's go ahead and take this out. Let's go ahead and attack, and then we'll just drop both Goyfs. See whether they're dead. They're going to have to deal with a lot of stuff. I mean, if they have a land, then now their hand has to be land and Reanimate and Entomb. Actually, they're low enough that I don't think they can do that anymore. So I don't know how they win anymore. I think they're just dead. They're forcing the second Nether Goyf. All right. We can't bring that back yet, but we can bring it back next turn. They have Wasteland in hand. That's the only known. I don't think they shuffled that away. They could have. Reanimating Bowmasters. Okay, that does keep them alive for a turn cycle. Yep, that works. 1 card left in hand. It must not be Wasteland because I can't imagine them not playing out Wasteland by now, unless they're just holding it for a Brainstorm. All right, I'm going to come in with both of these. The Force block on the Nether Goyf. Okay, they're letting that through. We're going to go ahead and do this. Creature, pair of 3/4s. They're going to need to draw another Bowmaster to survive the next turn cycle. Or they could play a land, but it won't. Brazen Borrower can't block land creatures. Okay, we got it. Wow, that was freaking slog. And I think we got really lucky. I'm not sure how much they pivoted into the fair plan. We did see Reanimate in there, but we didn't see Entomb. I think we run it back. All right. I think this is a keep. We can curb their initial volley. Thoughtseize is good against them. I think I'm going to lead with Underground Sea into Thoughtseize. And then if they Daze, that's okay. And then we'll just follow up with the Undercity Sewer. Okay. So I'll let them do this. They're probably going to take our Thoughtseize, is my guess. They did. This does give us an opportunity to just cheese. I think I like going ahead and another Goyfing here. And if they Daze it, we can bring it back later. And I could have just, held that up. Yeah, I don't want to waste yet. Ponder. Okay, so they are probably looking for land. If they shuffle this, I will definitely waste them. But I think it's almost always a trap to waste Blue Black Reanimator because they need so little mana to win the game. Like it's kind of comical. Like I've seen games won by them where they just play a single swamp and they use. Okay, they didn't shuffle, so I have to presume they have like a wasteland or something. They know that we only have one other colored source in our hand. They don't know about the wasteland, so we could go ahead and Marsh Flats here. I'm worried that they put an Entomb on the stack that we have to force, and then they can Daze and protect their land. So I don't think that is what we want to be doing. I think I just play out Undercity Sewer here, and hopefully get it out of the way, and hopefully surveil something we don't want into the yard. That is above average for sure, and it doesn't help Nether Goyf in terms of types. I'm just going to attack, and we're going to pass. And they could definitely waste us to get us off of Daze Protected Force. They're at 4 cards, though. Okay, they are fetching. They're going to surveil. We just have to hope there's like a 1 in 25 chance that they surveil like a brutal monster into their yard and turn on their reanimation effects. Exactly. Volgoth, we're never beating that ever. Never, ever beating that. And now they can waste and they get Daze Protected, Reanimate. So we'll float, but it's not going to matter because they're going to have a Daze. They're passing so they can Daze when they reanimate. It's so frustrating. Okay, Brainstorm first. All right. Maybe they don't have the Daze yet, but they're going to get it. Volgavoth is ward, sacrifice 3 non-land permanents, flying lifelink, so we will never beat this. Even with a Brazen Borrower, we'd have to sacrifice 3 non-land permanents, which we don't have. So here's the Force. They already know about it, so it shouldn't be any surprise. And the Daze, and then we can scoop. That is an extremely unsatisfying end to the league. Let me put it that way. Like, I'm not happy at all with this outcome. It's extremely frustrating that their deck is as good as it is. But I do not believe in, if you can't beat them, join them. I see people all the time making the jump over to that deck, but I'm not going to do it. I'm stubborn as a mule. This deck felt great though. I feel like if any deck has a decent shot at beating that deck, it's probably our deck. Other than just like combo decks that are trying to be faster than it. So I don't think going down to 2 Daze was problematic at all. I think Thoughtseize is more important than Daze right now. A lot of decks just have so much mana that, Thoughtseize feels incredible. We didn't really get to showcase Mockingbird strength. There was one game where we got double, we got our twin Netherwolf's going, and then they just freaking reanimated us. So yeah, I hope you can understand why. Like, first of all, why I hope you can agree that Blue-Black Reanimator is the best deck in the format by a country mile, and that it's incredibly frustrating to play against as a fair deck. Like, I don't think there was really anything we could have done. Let's see. Had we played out a different land, then they wouldn't have been able to waste and. But they had to flip the card off of their, blue-black or the Undercity Sewers. Like, I feel like, yes, I might have been able to play around that, but frankly, I shouldn't have to play around that line. I shouldn't have to play like incredibly paranoid about every single little thing. And I should be able to tap mana and actually cast spells and stuff. So I'm just trying to do that and win a fair way. Anyway, if I sound overly whiny or anything like that, like, I encourage you to go out and play against the deck and see how frustrating it is to play against and how unfair it is. But Kaito didn't come out. I mean, like, with all the combo I'm playing against, I did the challenge yesterday, the showcase challenge, the one that you use your invitation points. So I didn't have to pay money or anything. And I got in there with like 200 people, and it was 5 rounds of combo, and I played against lands one time. And like with this deck, I'd be happy to play against lands all day because but Kaito was of zero consequence the entire time. And it just made me want to build like a deck that ignores Kaito and just goes straight for the jugular. But how much more for the jugular can you go when you're against combo? I've already got the 4 Thoughtseize. I've already got the 4 Force Will. You can start putting main deck Force Negations in your deck. By the way, Force Negation won't necessarily save you against like Oops All spells because their main card is Creature Spell. It won't save you against Broadside Bombardiers out of Moon Stompy. I think this card sucks. I think the fact that it can't hit creatures is a non-starter. But the meta is so toxic right now that now I want to emphasize there are some bright spots. There were some players that did well in the Showcase Challenge, and I haven't looked at like a breakdown, but I'm going to show you the decks that did top 32 that I thought were interesting. So here we are. First of all, Kaito Control got first. That's notable because this is a fair deck. I mean, it does do unfair things in terms of like natural ordering for the Stompy guy, whatever his name is, that Craterhoof. Wait, is Craterhoof not in the deck? Craterhoof is not in the deck. I guess Atrex is so powerful they don't need it, and they just win through this. I'm not going to attempt to Sith Cat Cub, I guess is how that's pronounced, which is a very strong creature that's very expensive on MTGO and probably in paper because they printed it in some random set that wasn't like a wide release. So expect to pay a pretty penny if you want to play this card for the 6 months that is relevant before they print some other power crept alternative. But here we can see that it's a really pretty standard list as far as I can tell. Layer of the Hydra, 4 Cradles. It's cool. Again, like, I don't really like these types of decks because they don't play removal and they don't try to interact. They just try to get on board and do their thing, and it's kind of ships passing in night, even though it's ships passing in the night doing fair stuff. But you know, like I don't think they have endurance in the sideboard. Maybe no, they don't even have endurance. Like their interaction is snuff outs, which they board in, and yeah, that's pretty much it. But it's a cool deck. It's a fair strategy. You got to give a shout out to the fair players. So actually, if you look, there were several fair decks in the top 8. Delver ranked. This is just a pretty stock Delver build with 2 questing druids. Yeah, nothing really to note here. They are playing 19 lands, which INF championed. The Death and Taxes, not surprising. This is a really good deck. This is definitely a solid consideration. I am stunned that it did so well in such a combo heavy meta though, because you can't beat combo with like cards like Deafening Silence. Like this card is pretty terrible because they just bounce it out of play and then they combo, or you know it buys you a little bit of time, but it doesn't really do a lot. I don't think cards like Disruptor Flute are a substitute for cards like Force of Will. Mind Break Trap is like comically bad in my humble opinion. This said, clearly this player did well without splashing blue. So I think that if you want to play a fair deck, maybe what I'm doing is swimming upstream, like trying to play a blue fair deck, because the non-blue fair decks are always better. Like this deck will just crush our deck if we go up against it. It's probably like a 20-80 matchup because they just have so much value and they don't have to worry about 2-for-1ing themselves to stop things with Force of Will, or they do play Thoughtseize of their own, so that is one of the better anti-combo cards. I'd like to play this deck on my channel at some point, but again, if we're just going to be playing against combo decks, it's not going to be very fun. But again, shout out to this player for doing well in the challenge. Then we go to Sneak and Show, which not interesting. Esper Tempo. This is an interesting list from Galaxy Impact, whom I've played against a couple times. This list is interesting in its inclusion of white just for Prismatic Ending and Swords. This is something I did for Eternal Weekend, my Esper list. But they went up all the way to 3 Kaito, which is a lot. Like, it's a lot to expect that you're going to have 3 mana and you're going to be able to play it, especially when you're playing a 3-color deck where you have, just like these 3 basics that you're disincentivized from fetching because you're playing a 3-color deck. They have 1 Murktide, 1 Borrower, and I think it's fine to go down to 1 Borrower if you're playing cards like Prismatic Ending, which they're playing too. And then they have not that they're asking my permission or anything like that, but like just my personal assessment of this deck. Like there are things I would do differently for sure. I don't think 3 Kaito is correct. It might be a 2 Kaito, 1 Teferi split would be good. Teferi is not bad if you're playing white. And it can deal with like, things that slip through, like Murktides and stuff like that, or it can just be a problematic permanent for your opponent. But what is notable is that they're playing so few creatures. Like, how do you even get ninjutsu on Kaito when you're playing so few creatures? But I guess with these 8 creatures, Orcish Bowmasters creates 2 bodies. Tamio has evasion. They're able to do it. And they do have a single... Yeah, that's it. They have a single Baleful Strix, which I had a Baleful Strix in my list yesterday for the Showcase Challenge. Never did a damn thing. Like, there was not a single matchup where it was relevant or where it would have been better than just having a Nethergoyf. So I decided to go up to 4 Nethergoyf instead. I think this card's cool, but it does pitch to force. But yeah, I'm not convinced that like creatures is where the battle is. But certainly, if you look at the top 8, you might get that impression. And it may be that I had an aberrational experience. This deck is crazy, in that they're like going all in on Spell Pierce and Daze. But what are they protecting? Like Tamio and Murktide. I don't like playing tempo when you don't have a way to actually apply pressure. Like having, all the Dazes in the world are not going to save you if you're just sitting there doing nothing because you don't have any threats. So playing so few threats, I think, is somewhat suspect. But this is not out of line with what we were doing with Beanstalk before Beanstalk kind of fell off. They're playing Stock Up, which I think is an overrated card personally. The reason why I don't play Stock Up, and you probably won't ever see Stock Up on the channel, is I think it's really designed for Ancient Tomb blue decks, like the Echo of Eons type decks that have like, the power out, kind of like what we played where that Karnforge deck that was playing Emery, Lurker in the lock. I think Stock Up would be a good card for that. I don't think it belongs in your Daze deck. I mean, like, at what point are you casting this? Do you want to? It's sorcery speed. You want to spend an entire turn cycle. You want to tap out of your interaction so that you can play a Stock Up. That doesn't seem good. Like, what are you going to get? You're going to get a blue card and a force, and then so it's like you prepaid for a Force of Will. That doesn't seem good. So, yeah, like I've refused, or I failed to see the value in this card outside of like combo decks. Like, I'm sure it's great in like Omnitel and stuff like that, but it's not a card that we're looking for in tempo. And then there were a couple other Cutter Slade. Shout out to Cutter Slade, super chill person whom I've interacted with a lot. They are on a deck that's very similar to ours. They are only on 3 Tamio, only 1 Borrower, 2 Murktide. So I don't play Murktide. And the reason I don't play Murktide is I think Tamio is better in a lot of, or I'm sorry, Nethergoyf is better in a lot of situations because Nethergoyf can come back. And Murktide does have evasion, but like you also have to have double blue, which frequently I don't have because I'm, in a Wasteland Mirror or something like that. And I don't want to play a second basic island just to be able to reliably cast Murktide. But the big thing is it crowds out the graveyard. And unlike Nethergoyf, which benefits from the graveyard and all the Nethergoyfs benefit from the graveyard, like Murktide actually consumes the graveyard, which means your Nethergoyfs can't benefit from it. And subsequent Nethergoyfs, like if this gets bounced, then it's really hard to recast and stuff. And also, you would never want to, ninjutsu and Murktide back to your hand. So again, I'm just explaining my reasoning here for why I wouldn't play what Cutter Slade's playing, but it's working for him. I mean, he came in 9th. He went 7-2. I went 3-3. So that's a substantial difference in outcomes. So it could be that he is correct here, even though other than that, 3 Thoughtseizes, which is what I played, but I'm going up to 4. I'm convinced after all that combo I faced. And I think in this league that we played today, having 4 Thoughtseizes came up quite a bit. We had our opponents Thoughtseizing our Thoughtseize because Thoughtseize was so devastating against our hand and stuff. It's good. And the 5th removal spell, which I'm just reluctant to play. Man, that weird art is so silly looking. Like some colonial people like in a fist fight in the swamp. Double Nile Spellbomb. Yeah. And then the sideboard, nothing really to report. A Ghost Vacuum, again, I can't see how Ghost Vacuum would be superior to just playing more Nile Spellbombs. But like some people like to vary their cards. Baragorth is fine. I think it's a fine card. It's not a card that I personally think is like strong, but everybody seems to be playing it. Double Force Negation, double Harbinger, and they're playing Snuff Out as like yet another removal spell. So importantly, what they're not playing is they're not playing a 3rd Hydro, and they're not playing a 3rd Force Negation, which, you can get away with. Like, again, I think Force Negation sucks as a card. I like to go down to 2. And one of their second Borrower is in the sideboard. So if we go deeper in the list, you'll note that there's a Stifle Knot list, which is kind of cool. And there are a couple Dimir Tempo lists that we can look at too. So the Stifle Knot list, just like all in on Doorkeeper Troll and Dress Down, and like barely, like no Stifles in the list. 2 Consigns though. So those are not terrible. I could definitely see a list like this being defensible right now. 1 Prismatic Ending. So lighter on removal, but Teferi is kind of like a Prismatic Ending that sticks around and does other stuff and cantrips. It's a temporary one, but I think that this list is pretty tight. Like I would actually be interested in trying. Probably not the exact 75, like 3 Ponder. What are you doing? Like going down to 3 days. I think frankly, like with how big the mana base is and stuff, you might want to just, yeah. I think 2 days is fine. So I guess the question is, if we're not going to play, if we're going to go to 3 Ponder, which I think you should, what should you cut? I don't know that you cut the second Consign just because Consign is, interaction. One of the great things about Consign that we saw in this league is it does counter Chalice of the Void. And that was pretty important in the game where I was able to consign the Chalice, even though I didn't win that game ultimately because of the strength of Broadside Bombardier. I think being able to stop the Chalice was pretty critical in us having a chance. Yeah, I would probably move this Prismatic Ending out to the sideboard, and I'd just play the Ponder. Because they don't have a 3rd color, so like it's not like Prismatic Ending is great here. Stony Silence, kind of, very macabre. I don't know what you're using this for. Like, what is this good against that other cards aren't better at? Maybe because, this is actually a deck where I would consider playing Well, what I know, I don't know that it's worth playing Ghost Vacuum here because your own creatures are like pretty terrible under Ghost Vacuum. Like they don't really do a lot. Yeah, I mean, I'd probably just go a bunch of Grafdigger Cages and not play the Fairy Macaw. But yeah, but this list is cool. I just want to emphasize that. I think it's wrong to do 3 Ponder, but that's just my personal opinion. Okay, Dimir Tempo with 3 Voidwalker. I have experimented with this. I wasn't unimpressed with it, but it is a good thing you can do when your opponents are playing a lot of Reanimator. But like a lot of times they'll get underneath this and they'll already have good threats by the time the Douthie hits. 2 Bowmasters, which you can definitely defend. I still don't think this is a good card. I know people play it, but I just don't think it's a good card. I don't know if Blue-Black Reanimator still plays it. And then Murktides. So this is kind of like similar to Pokemoki's list that is trying to use Troll instead of Nethergoyf. But the problem with that is you're doing a lot of damage to yourself, and Troll can be bounced and not easily redeployed. It does allow you to cheat on mana and go down to 17 lands, but that's risky. They're playing stock up here in their 17 land deck. Again, I failed to see how that's correct, but I understand when new cards come out, people want to play with them. Yeah, 3 Fatal Push. Yeah, so this is kind of a hybrid. I guess the mana is going to be pretty tough because you got double black and Douthie and double blue and Murktide. But again, this person went 7-2. So, and they're an experienced player. I've seen them a lot. So take what you will from their decisions. Here's another Dimir Tempo. So what I want to emphasize here is when we look at these lists, but I want to emphasize that Dimir Tempo is a viable strategy. It didn't work for me, like with my particular path through the tournament, and maybe I made some misplays. I'm looking forward to reading the comments on the video that I posted last night of the Showcase Challenge to see if anybody else spots any other small punts that I made. I did make at least 2 punts. And then, yeah, this is also like a heavy stock up list. And again, like when new cards come out, people like to put them in their deck, but I would be stunned if stock up becomes like a legacy staple outside of like, Ancient Tomb blue decks. And there's not a lot else to add about this. They're on 3 Nethergoyf, 3 Tamio. I genuinely think, Tamio, the correct number of Tamio to play is 4. Yeah, those are my thoughts. And I'm going to enjoy like watching if anybody else uploaded some video of their play. One thing that I will show you that's just crazy, if I can find it, it's like a mill deck. I was like so stunned reading the card decisions. Like there's no freaking Force of Will in this list. Not even in the side. Like it's like this person just kind of like emerged from a cave and like put this, no shade to the person who built this list, but like, what are we doing here? Like no force and you're playing 4 counterspell in your deck that has like tap out sorceries. But this did pretty well. I mean, this went 6-3 and it's cool. I mean, like I don't understand how this went 6-3, but this did go 6-3. So just have this on your radar. If you're playing a lot of leagues and stuff, people are going to try to emulate this, and maybe this is just a fluke. I mean, like it's difficult to imagine losing against this deck when you're playing like Blue-Black Reanimator and they're putting your reanimation targets in your graveyard for you and stuff. But I mean, a lot of it may be on the back of just having tons of exile-based removal that deals with anything they put on there. Like, okay, you Atraxa, you drew a bunch of cards, but I'm still going to plow your Atraxa, and then I'll plow your Archon as well, and then the game will continue, right? I don't know how it works, but this deck did win. I think a lot of it is they have this Trapmaker snare where they can go and they can get Archive Trap, one of the most powerful traps ever printed, and mill 13 cards off their opponent. So, and you can force them to shuffle or to search their deck with Field of Ruin, and Path to Exile may search their library for a basic land. So I think that this May ability means that that the Archive Trap doesn't work. They've got the Tasha's Hideous Laughter, exile until they get 20 value, which could be a lot of cards in Legacy. Like if you do that against like a Ad Nauseam player, you basically mill their deck. Fractured Sanity, mill 14 cards for 3 blue. Again, these are not great cards, but they did well. and there was like a confluence of events that allowed them to do well. So I think it's cool. It's interesting. Other than that, just like tons of Reanimator, as you can see, tons of Moon Stompy. Like the last half of the list is basically just one Eldrazi. Don't mind seeing that. This mono green Cloud Post is playing Sowing Microspawn though. So here's my prediction for the bans. I think Entomb might get banned. I would love to see that. They might try to ban Troll and keep Entomb, which I think would be a mistake. But they may very well not ban Sowing Microspawn, which is the card that's actually keeping Control down because it's so poorly represented. Like if you look at this top 32, there's only like 2 decks that are playing it. So is Wizards going to ban? And this is the biggest tournament that is going to happen before the ban, I think. So if they're looking at this, they may be like, oh, do we even need to ban it? Nobody's playing it. But it is subtly undermining the role of Control in Legacy. So anyway, I'll leave it there. I had a blast playing this. I hope you enjoyed my thoughts at the end of the league. I hope you're having fun playing Legacy as well. See you in the next one. And until next time, be excellent to each other and party on.